Bacho Ali tends his brother's grave at the family home on the island of Rote. Erwin Prayoga's gravestone is barely legible, but it tells a tragic story. He died at 16 after he fell seriously ill in a high-security adult prison in Perth, where he'd been jailed for people smuggling. He was then deported but died within weeks of arriving home.
Australia should have made sure he was fully recovered before sending him home.
But as a minor, Erwin Prayoga shouldn't have gone to jail at all. He was 14 when he and other crew on a boat carrying asylum seekers to Australia were intercepted and arrested. Authorities relied on a controversial wrist scan that measures bone density to claim he was 19 and therefore an adult.
Australia is meant to be decent. How could they let this happen to Erwin?
Scores more Indonesian children were also jailed or detained as adults using the same X-ray that has since been ruled unreliable. Ali Yasmin was 13 when he was arrested, but spent 3 years in a Perth jail. His conviction was eventually overturned, which set a precedent for countless others. At least 120 Indonesians are now suing the Australian government for damages.
Lawyers for teenagers like Erwin Prayoga, the rest of them now young men, have launched a class action in the federal court to claim compensation for their wrongful imprisonment and the years of childhood they lost.
The effects of spending long periods of time in adult prisons as a child are substantial, and they are ongoing for each of these young men. It has to be borne in mind, of course, that these Indonesian children were, in some cases, as young as 12, 13, 14 years of age.
After years of legal argument, the federal court has now ordered all parties to begin mediation to decide whether damages should be paid. None of the government agencies being sued, including federal police and immigration, would comment on the case. But in court documents, their lawyers object to claims they knew the wrist X-rays were unreliable and say there were other decisions in which courts accepted X-ray analysis. The mediation process is scheduled to finish by March, but even if the Indonesian men win compensation, it'll never bring back Bacho Ali's brother. Anne Barker, ABC News, Rote.